So Nintendo is closing down the 3DS and the Wii U eShop. And I mean, I guess that's up to them if that's something they'd like to do, but it certainly is pissing off a lot of people, myself included, because they have no plan with what they're doing with it. So they have done this in the past. They make games inaccessible, right? So you can no longer purchase them from Nintendo themselves. So you now have a game that you know exists, that has been created by a company, published by this company, and then you want to buy it, but you can't because it's no longer accessible and no longer sold by that company. So you have a couple of options. In the older days, then you'd only have physical media, so then you're able to purchase a copy from someone that already purchased it in the past. So let's say that you want to get an old NES game, then yeah, you can buy that. You can get that for yourself secondhand. Of course, some games are very rare though, and those games are ridiculously expensive, but they're still accessible in that way. So let's say you want to play Little Samson, for example, which is one of the rarer games for the NES, but you're not willing to shell out the enormous price tag. Then the only way for you to experience that game is to download it illegally from a ROM sharing site. And I have no problem with those sites, honestly, because that's the only way to get those games without having to pay an enormous price. None of that money goes into Nintendo's pocket anyway. If you buy it secondhand from someone, that money doesn't go into Nintendo's pocket, so it doesn't matter. Nintendo's not earning or losing any money from you downloading that game. You're not downloading a game that's actively being sold. However, Nintendo still chooses to be pissy about this. They hate it when you do that. They keep taking down all these ROM sharing sites. So then us, the people, say, but Nintendo, if you offer these games to us, then we'll get them from you, because that'll be easier. Let's say for the Nintendo Switch, for example, that's a great system to have these games on. If you look at the Wii, we had Virtual Console, where you can play a bunch of ROMs. Basically, you're just emulating games on your Wii, but they were sold back to you. And there's an argument against that as well, but whatever, if you already own the title, whatever. So then you can buy it on that system and play it again, but they have since removed Virtual Console. So now those games are once again inaccessible, and they have not added Virtual Console onto the Switch. Instead, we have Nintendo Online, which is a subscription service that offers some games, but not all of them. So once again, that's a problem. You can't get all games. So if you want to play those games, you have to download them illegally. And as long as they're not actually providing those games to you, then it should be okay for you to download them that way, because they're not losing any money, because it's their decision to not sell those games to you, the consumer. If you want to play a game and it's available to purchase, then buy it. Sure. If it's not available to purchase, like it's actually physically impossible for you to buy it from the source, the company that made the game, then what are you supposed to do? You really don't have very many options here. You can just download the ROM. You download the ROM and then you play that on an emulator on your computer or whatever. The thing that blows my mind now, so the 3DS and the Wii U eShops are going down. This means that any digital only title is once again gone. You can't play those games anymore, or you can't buy those games anymore. If you have the game already, then you can still re-download it from the servers and everything, but the actual shop is gonna be gone, which means that you can't download those, and there are plenty of great games for the 3DS and the Wii U that are digital only. So if you want to play those games, once again, once the servers go down, you have to sail the seas. You have to become a pirate, because that's the only option Nintendo is giving you. And then they lynch you for doing that. And that doesn't add up, it doesn't make sense, and I don't understand the business model. In the frequently asked questions tab under this announcement from Nintendo, they also stated this, which is just like, it just displays how out of touch they are. So, question. Once it is no longer possible to purchase software in the Nintendo eShop on Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS family of systems, many classic games from past platforms will cease to be available for purchase anywhere. Will you make classic games available to own some other way? If not, then why? Doesn't Nintendo have an obligation to preserve its classic games by continually making them available for purchase? This is my question. This is, I think, everyone's question, and it's stated in a pretty good way, actually. And it's like, okay, here's your question. And now Nintendo responds to that question. It's basically responding to this video that I'm making, and this is their beautiful response. Across our Nintendo Switch Online membership plans, over 130 classic games are currently available in growing libraries from various legacy systems. The games are often enhanced with new features such as online play. We think this is an effective way to make classic content easily available to a broad range of players. Within these libraries, new and longtime players can not only find games they remember or have heard about, but other fun games they might not have thought to seek out otherwise. We currently have no plans to offer classic content in other ways. Okay, Nintendo, thank you. That's a great response. It's not a good response. It's not a good response at all. Having it on the Switch Online service is fine enough, I suppose, in one way, but it still should be, you should still be able to download games that are inaccessible. There are still games on that service that are inaccessible, games that haven't been put on the platform yet, games that probably won't be put on the platform. These games are games that should still be available to people, and you should be able to buy it, and if you're not able to buy it, then it should be okay to download it. That's just how I feel about the situation. And they keep doing this, and they keep shutting down all this stuff, and it bothers me so much. If they're not willing to keep an archive of their games for their systems available for purchase, then we should be able to keep an archive of those games for the consumer to be able to enjoy. And their offerings of Nintendo Switch Online, nobody buys that. Nobody buys the Switch Online service to play Nintendo Entertainment System games. I mean, they're there, which is nice, but you need that service anyway to play online, so most people buy it for that. There are a lot of other people that would love to play classic games on their Switch that would happily pay a small sum of money for each game individually, which would be fine. If you want to get a little bit of extra cash, that's good for Nintendo, and that makes sense. But if you're not going to do that, we need to be able to have the ability to play your games. We had the similar situation recently with Sony, where Sony was like, hey, we're shutting down these shops, and everyone was like, no, don't do that, we still want to be able to buy those games, like I don't want to feel like I can't get those games anymore. And Sony was like, whoa, okay, fine, we'll keep it up. But knowing Nintendo and their way of thinking, I highly doubt that we're going to be able to pressure them into keeping those online services on, and that really bothers me. So I mean, it's worth trying, I guess, but I really don't think Nintendo's changing their mind on this. So just let me know in the comments below what you think about this. I'm getting very tired of their whole approach. I feel like they're very anti-consumer, and I really don't like that. Anyway, if you want more videos like this, then you can always subscribe, and while you're down there, leave a comment if you'd like. Liking the video also really helps me out, and I'll see you all later.